Hola. How are you? Hey, you got a bunch of people watching. How's it going, guys? I'm a property manager, real estate agent, and all kinds of other things. And we're painting a wall. We're painting an entire condo today. It's a lot of fun. It's hot. I'm wearing long sleeves, and all kinds of good things are going on. So what we have here is a problem, actually it's not a problem property, but it's a property that we've been having a lot of trouble trying to get rented because for some reason or another, people aren't renting it. And, they're not falling in love. So we have a plan, it's a kind of a dated unit. There are, the finishes are old, the paint is kind of like that old school builder grade, beigey kind of brown, tan, whatever you want to call it. And it's because of how the unit is constructed, it doesn't get a ton of natural light. So you've got, you know, old fixtures, you've got outdated light fixtures, you have outdated like finishes and cabinets, countertops, cabinetry, all that kind of stuff. So the only way to fix it is do one of a couple of things. First thing is you gut the place, right? Because the problem is a lot of people aren't really interested in buying or renting old things. They want brand new, or they want all. That's why new construction is doing so well. And also things that are completely updated are doing so well, which I mean they always do. But the problem is it's expensive. So this is a 1,500 square foot condo. And to renovate this place, the cheapest I can find was $80,000. And that's through a friend who has his own contracting business. So that's like, you know, discounted friend rate. A lot of other people have quoted me at like 100,000, 120,000. There's just a lot of money to spend on, you know, early 2000s 3-bedroom condo. It is it is in a nice area, and that's working for it. But the reality is that it's old. So the next best option, instead of spending $80,000, is you get creative. You find, hey, where can I spend, you know, maybe not as much money and still get a decent bang for my buck when it comes to finishes and updates. So someone like me, I'll sit there and say, okay, Amazon is a great place to find decent quality stuff, light fixtures, fans, sinks, or faucets, that kind of stuff. So you go on Amazon, you find like the best stuff that you can, right? Decently priced. Home Depot is great, but it's a big box retailer, so you're gonna end up paying a little bit more. There's not a significant difference in quality when you're looking at Amazon versus Home Depot. And this is straight from people who know what they're talking about. Like these are contractors and people that I work with on a regular basis, and they tell me, it's like, you know, a buddy of mine was like, hey, you know, you need so many of your sockets replaced instead of like your electrical outlets, you need all that replaced. So instead of, you know, me charging you thousands, tens of thousands of dollars to replace all of this, just get a box of 20, like I sell them in boxes of 20, 40, 50 on Amazon. Get that, do it yourself. Take 2 or 3 days to replace all your outlets and do it yourself, and you save a bunch of money. So that's where we're at on this project. So this project is, we're going to do as much of the work ourselves that we can. So I'm going to paint myself. I'm going to replace outlets, fixtures. Some things need to be done that are outside of my skill level, scope, or just the ability to invest time in. So I'm going to hand that off to, you know, licensed contracted people, and just kind of, you know, we're going to have to just pay the cost on what that is. But outside of that, things that are, you know, a handyman can do are great alternatives to spending a bunch of money when you're maybe not necessarily able to do that. Not everyone's able to drop, you know, let's just say $100,000 on a renovation right now, right? Everyone has their own money struggles, and everyone has their own issues. And so the plan is to get this looking as great as possible. We're going to change up the color, because I don't know if you can see the color or not. Maybe you can see the contrast. So like this is the new color, obviously the white, but all this brown tan is the old contrast. What up, Precise? Is the old color. So the goal is bring in, because it doesn't get a lot of natural light, bring in a lighter color. That's number one, right? We're gonna bring in a lighter color and hopefully that will appeal to people and make this place seem more bright. That's number one. Number two is I'm gonna spend a couple of days replacing all the light switches and electrical sockets because they're old. They're dingy, they're brown. They used to be white, they're not white anymore. And because of that, they look dingy. And I think they bring down, the aesthetic of the unit, and it makes it a little less desirable. After that, we're gonna replace all the light fixtures. So there's a light fixture overhead here. You can't really see it, but there's some recessed lighting in the kitchen, which that'll stay. There's pendants in the kitchen that will stay, but like everywhere else, like the dining room has like a cheap boob light. Here's a boob light here. There's a boob light downstairs. So those will all go. All of the fans are gonna go because they're all pull cord. We're gonna switch them over to a remote control fans. They're gonna be a little more modern looking as well. Switch to LED lighting on everything, so that way, it's less light bulbs that you have to worry about, less maintenance that you have to worry about. It is true that, integrated LED light fixtures, I'm not gonna say that they're more expensive in the long run, because I don't believe they are more expensive in the long run, but once the LED goes out, you do have to replace the entire fixture, right? Rather than just a light. So over time, I think the cost, if say you have a fixture that you just never replace, that is incandescent lighting or replaceable bulb lighting, over time, I think, it becomes more expensive than the old fixtures, but, I've never done the math on, with LED lighting, how much energy it is that you're saving and that. I've never done the math on that. But it looks better. It looks better. It's what people want. They think they're saving, energy by using LED integrated light fixtures or, that kind of stuff. For some reason, and I don't know why this is the case, but I've tried those LED light bulbs in my house and other things, and they burn out more than incandescent light bulbs. So they go so fast that to me, I'm just like, I don't see the value. I'm replacing these things so incredibly quick because the LED light bulbs, they can't handle, when you take an LED light bulb and you put it into an incandescent light fixture, like a fixture that was originally made for incandescent lights, there's something up with the current, there's something up with the, thanks, it does look better, thank you. But there's something up with the current, there's something up with I don't know, the amperage or something, and it just smokes the LED lights every time. You buy an LED light bulb fixture, or light bulb, and you put it in a fixture originally made for incandescent bulbs, and it just gets cooked every time. So rather than worrying about that and worrying about having to give tenants specific instructions about, you have to get this light bulb or not, it's better to just, update the fixture, make it look nice, do something that's a little more modern, do something that's a little more trendy, the old school, like wood, blade, brushed nickel fixtures, like those are kind of old school. They're not what I think people really want nowadays. So I think, kind of updating that stuff is key. And I'm doing a lot of this work myself, so it's going to take a little bit longer than I want it to. But those are the decisions that we make, right? What's up to everybody who's here? I see we got a couple people in. How are you? I hope you're having a great weekend. We're here. We're talking real estate. We're talking whatever. I mean, whatever. We can literally talk about whatever. Is this just to look better or to make the value of the house better to be sold? So it's more A than B because the plan is to keep this property. But once you make something look better, you almost always increase its value. So, any improvement you make is going to be dollars on the other side. Unless it's like, I'm not gonna say any improvement, any smart improvement you make, anything that brings actual value. There's something called, it's called forced appreciation. Forced appreciation. So is it forced? It's something appreciation. So let's just pretend it's called forced appreciation. So forced appreciation is basically any action that you take that brings value to the property, increases value to the property. Painting, is that going to bring more value to the property? Painting is not necessarily an improvement, it's more of a maintenance, right? So maintenance items don't bring value. But the argument could be made that painting does bring value because in its current format and in its current color, nobody wants it. So you're making $0. Once it gets painted, it may increase people's want for it, which may bring more people in. So instead of increasing the price, like instead of going from 1,000 to 1,200, you're getting 1,000, but 1,000 is more than 0. So at least it's increasing the value there. But then once you kind of do everything, like we're gonna do lights, fans, sockets, outlets, door handles, that kind of stuff. We're gonna do those things. Once we do those things, that will be forced appreciation. That will increase it. Typically, I'm trying to remember what the exact definition of forced appreciation is. It's something where not tangible value. I'm drawing a blank, and it could just be the paint fumes, but there are different kinds of value when it comes to homes and real estate and all that kind of stuff. If I take a house, let's pretend it's a 2-bedroom house, and I had a 3rd bedroom, that is a particular kind of value, which I can't remember the name for, but that's like a tangible value. You are changing the physical structure to make an improvement. That's an increase in value. Obviously, we can't do that in a condo, right? You can't add, unless you join units together, but you can't do this in this particular condo because of how it's constructed. With that being said, this is going to be a forced appreciation value because we are improving some things. Should you be wearing a mask? No, there's enough ventilation. If you are in tight, this is standard home paint, so it's not like an epoxy. It's not, any of like the really, really harsh stuff. So there's enough ventilation. I was, more making the paint fumes comment as a joke, even though I'm sure there's some validity to it. But no, I don't need to be wearing a mask just for painting. You should, for sure though, when you're doing projects, you should definitely take precautions that protect you, because it's not worth it, like getting injured, getting chronically sick. Like, for example, I used to do a lot of like woodworking and sanding and stuff like that. And when I used to do it, I didn't wear a mask. And every day I would come in from work and I would have the hair in my nose was like white or brown because of all the dust. And that's the dust that like you're breathing in. Your nose hair is going to catch so much, right? And vapors, which are smaller, because we're talking about like we're talking about at the particle level or at the particulate level, those go right past your hairs and you ingest all that. So I'm sure that the 2 or 3 years that I was doing like woodworking and stuff like that, and like sanding stuff and like sanding doors, sanding paint, especially like I was sanding 1980s paint, which there's a decent chance that it had asbestos in it. I'm sure that those 2 or 3 years probably scarred my lungs to a degree. So when you're doing stuff like that, you should wear a mask. In painting, maybe you could wear a mask. It depends. You should definitely have ventilation. Lots of air coming through. Open windows, have fans running. You should have that. But here we are. But going back to, kind of best practices when it comes to, investing and that kind of stuff. I get the idea from a lot of people. Like, I get it, right? A lot of people don't want to spend money. When you get your property and you get your investment property, you're like, I don't want to spend money. I just want to create money. I don't want to spend any money because I just want to create money for you. And I get that. But the problem is that causes like that. You have to maintain the product. You have to maintain, like, if you're selling a product, it's got to be, hello to everybody who's here. Got 3 people watching. If you haven't subscribed to my channel, please subscribe to my channel. I greatly appreciate it. It's, it's real estate. It's other things. I try also to be funny. Anyway, a lot of people that I work with, especially like investor wise, they don't want to improve. They don't want to spend the money on improving their property. And I think good investors constantly improve their property. Good investors constantly make improvements, constantly are bettering their property, because when upgrading to more modern and newer like things, elements. Let's see here. It's gonna rain here. Running home now. Okay. Well, don't be safe. Don't trip and fall. Upgrading to newer things is less maintenance, right? As things get old, they degrade. Now, here's the other thing that we have to think about, and this thing that sucks. And I'm sorry if I'm kind of jumping all over the place, but this is just kind of the reality. There definitely is something to be said about the lowering of quality of modern goods, which I have a huge thing about this. I think, the reality is the corporate greed affects everything. So everybody's looking for more efficient and cheaper ways to build things, and more times than not, the more efficient and cheaper way to build something is to lower the standards of production or to lower the quality of the materials used, which is typical, right? There are improvements that are being made. There are things that are made better. There are things that are made more efficiently, yes. But in a lot of things, I mean, look at appliances, right? Washers, dryers, refrigerators, stoves. They barely last. They have a life cycle, an average lifespan of like 2.5 to 3 years. That's the average lifespan, which back in the day, it was closer to 7 years, right? That's huge. That's huge. And not only that, not only has the lifespan decreased by more than half, the cost has gone up significantly more, and it has outpaced increases in income, right? This is where it gets deeper. So the thing that blows my mind is you're buying things with less quality. You're buying things that have functional obsolescence, like these manufacturers build these things to break down at a certain age because they want you to rebuy, right? Like, people are worried about the pharmaceutical companies keeping you sick. How about the appliance manufacturers keeping money out of your pocket because you have to buy a new washer every 3 years, right? So you really have to be more selective with the choices that you make in the purchases, right? And the things that you buy. For example, if you're buying a washer and dryer, go Speed Queen. They last forever. They're the last company in the entire game that build quality things that last for a long time. If you're buying other appliances, go Miele, go Bosch. Miele and Bosch are some of the best manufacturers of appliances. I'm sorry to Sony, I'm sorry to Panasonic, I'm sorry to Sony, I'm sorry to LG, but the reality is the best appliances out there are Miele and Bosch. The reason why they're not carried in a lot of manufacturers or a lot of companies like the Best Buys of the world and everywhere else you go, the reason why they're not carried in great depth is, number one, because they make, because of their manufacturing process, they make fewer quantities of things, but also because that's not where the money is. The LGs, the Panasonics, they spend the money on the marketing. They spend the money on, like everything else, to make them seem more popular, more attractive, and more appealing, and therefore consumers purchase them. Consumer education is a huge thing. The one thing I don't like about putting new paint on super duper old paint is that a lot of old paint has like coatings. It's got dirt, it's got filth, it's got film, it's got all kinds of stuff. I make $20 a month from chores, and I'm investing $10 every month so I can keep 10 and invest. And that's smart. Invest every penny you can, right? I know precise, I know, you're a little on the younger side, and there's nothing wrong with that, that's totally fine. But every penny you can, you invest. What are you investing in? Well, tell me what you're investing in. I'm curious to hear this. But if you can invest in the S&P index, like if you can find, I'm sure you can talk to your parents about, helping you get like an account like that. But if you can invest in the S&P now and not touch that, you will thank yourself years from now. You will thank yourself tremendously. And maybe you'll thank me too. I don't know. I'm just kidding. Yeah, like I can see it. As I'm painting this, you can see, so this is where I just rolled and it's all white, right? As it dries and as it sets, it's gonna peel back. And then a lot of times with paint has, it's dry. So when you put paint on it, wet paint on it, the dry paint sucks the moisture out. And as you suck moisture out of the paint retracts. It becomes less voluminous. So what was once spread over everything now shrinks. And then you get these little black spots that are the peaks of the texture that are poking through the new paint that you just made. So a lot of times you have to do a second coat because the first coat is really like the corrective coat. It's you're putting this over everything and you're hoping that it stays. And then the second coat is actually what your true color is because you're putting it on top of what you just put there. It's more stroke, it's more money, it's more everything, but it's kind of what you got to do. Another thing I like to do, I like to try and use my roller to get as close to edges as possible because that's less work I have to do on the back end for like doing what's called the cut in. The cut in is basically just like doing like the edges. You can see here, like all this is cut in that I have to do later, right? And that's the part that absolutely sucks. I hate cutting in. It's so long, it's arduous, it is tiresome. It's so precise. It's a lot of fixing and correcting things because sometimes you don't. So when you paint, there's a couple of ways that you can do this. If you're a little more experienced like I am, you can freehand everything, which is, I don't recommend it because it does create more work kind of on the back end. If you are not as experienced or if you don't have a bunch of experience, then what you do is you tape everything off. You get some blue painter's tape and you tape off all the corners. Like for example, here you tape all this line, all this line up here, you tape all that. So that way when you're painting this stuff, it doesn't get on this stuff here, right? I recommend doing that. You should do that all the time because it just makes life easier, right? But just taping everything off, especially something where you have so many corners, like look at this. You see this? Okay, so this right here, I would have to tape all this. Hold on, let's do this, go this way. There we go. Tape this. I have to tape down this way. I have to tape, and like look at all the corners and everything like that. I would have to tape all that off. I have to tape this. And that takes so much work. And I'm not trying to be lazy and cut corners, but it's just like, that's just, oh man, miserable. So what I try to do with the roller is I try to get as close as possible as edges of things. Like up here, I'm going to try to roll it as close as I can to the edge of that. So that way it's less work for me to do when I come back with my paintbrush and have to do the cut. And you got to really watch out for drips. Because drips will happen. Gotta watch out for drips. Okay. Let's see what we invested in. You're not sure yet? You know what? That's totally fine. When it comes to investing, mind you, I gotta say this for legal reasons. This is not financial advice. I am not a financial advisor. I am not your financial advisor. So I would just, instead of telling you what you should or shouldn't do, I will tell you what I've done in the past, as you look at the top of my head. What I've done as a young person with a little bit of money and a monthly allowance, I asked my parents to set up and invest a brokerage investment account for me, because you need someone who's 18 years old to set it up for you. So you do that, and then you take every last bit you can, every last dollar. As a young person, I would, I'm not saying what you should or shouldn't do, saying I would invest every last penny I can into that investment account. And the safest thing that I discovered to invest in is something called, woo, that's close. I almost stepped on a piece of paint or a paint drop, and I almost smeared it everywhere. That was really sucked. Anyway, I want to invest in the things with the lowest risk and a good return. And what that ends up being are like the indexes. So there's two main indexes that everybody tells you to invest in. It's the S&P index, which is the symbol for it is SPY. You can look it up. And then the other thing they tell you to invest in is a index called QQQ, which is a similar yet more affordable security as the S&P index. And historically, these two indexes have had consistent 10% returns year over year. Now what that means is that they have outperformed these two indexes, among others, I mean with others as well, but they have outperformed essentially the rest of the stock market. And the reason that is that they are a conglomeration, they are a confluence of the top companies on the stock market. They're an accumulation of the top companies on the stock market, meaning that it has to be by what's called total capitalization, right? Meaning that they essentially are almost always increasing, right? Almost always, not always, almost always increasing, right? Because it's the best performing companies on the stock market. And if I invest, I think it's like $500 a month in it over a 30-year period, then you will have, 1 point something million dollars in your account, which is super important as you get older and want to retire. That's the whole point of investing kind of at an early age, is to prepare yourself for when you retire, because when you retire, you're not working anymore. When you're not working anymore, you got to find a way to make money. And not everybody has, the investment portfolios, or they have the real estate portfolios, or they own businesses. Not everybody has that, so they have to have some kind of income. Now, you got Social Security, but the problem is Social Security only pays out, depending on how much you invested in, it only pays out a couple $100 a month. You can't live off of a couple $100 a month. Almost nobody can. So this is why it's super duper important to start investing at an early age. And investing in something, when I say investing, I mean you're putting that money in and you don't touch it. You don't touch it at all, ever, until it's time to use it, which is way down the road. Or unless it's like a super duper 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 big emergency. But I mean, how often do super duper 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 big emergencies happen, right? So you have to find a way to not touch that. I'm gonna go, but I'm gonna see you there. All right, Precise. See you later. Shout out to whoever's still on here. I don't know how many people are here, but I'll just keep talking anyways. So if you listen to a lot of the, financial advice people and everybody else, it's so important, so important that you find something like, figure out how much money you can save or put aside every month, and then that's your nest egg, and you put it towards something every day or every month. Every month you invest in it. Every month you invest. Every month you invest. Every month you invest. It's so important that you do that, because you really do set yourself up for failure if you don't. You set yourself up to not be, not be in a great position later in life if you don't, kind of put yourself in a position to succeed. So that's really key. It's so dark here. I can't wait to get like a nice big light that shines in here. It's just dark everywhere. That's like a big problem. People come in and they're like, this place isn't bright enough. I don't blame them. It's dark here. So going back to this real estate stuff, going back to kind of managing your properties and stuff. Let me make sure we can, there we go. It's incredibly important to have, you need to see, you need to look at your properties as a product. And the thing about products is you need to always constantly be innovating, constantly making sure that they match what your customer base is looking for. And if you have a real estate property, who or what is your customer base? Renters, right? What do renters want? Well, first off, they usually want some kind of feature or features, right? There's something that really makes them connect to the home. So I think, something as simple as like a really dope light fixture. It seems simple. It seems kind of like, oh, lights don't mean anything. I think very much lights mean. I also think bright, like the most important thing in my opinion when it comes to someone's perception of a property is light. I think light makes a tremendous difference. Natural light is huge. If you have a place that's well lit by natural light, someone walks in there and they see it, and it kind of looks like daylight's inside their house, they love that. They go nuts for that stuff. And I think rightfully so, right? If you don't have natural light, then you need to create light within your space. Now, this is where we can kind of pivot to, what kind of light do you put in? So there's, three main kinds of light. There's soft, there's warm, and then there's, you can call it real, you can call it true, you can call it white. Well, actually, correction. True white light is different than daylight and different than true, it's different than daylight, right? So, I am not a fan of blue light in any living spaces or bedroom spaces because it just turns everything blue, and also gives everything kind of like a hospital room feel. I am a big fan of, I'm not even a fan of warm light because I'll say this, the thing with warm light is I feel like no one can ever get it bright enough. And I think hello everybody who's here, I got 3 people watching. Hi, my name's Eddie Grimes, real estate agent, property manager, investor, entrepreneur, everything. I'm just talking, I'm painting one of my properties and also talking, so if you haven't followed my page, please follow it. Like this live and just kind of help promote things as I try to get some work done here. Anyway, I'm not a fan of warm light because I feel like no one has been able to get warm light bright enough. It's always dim, it's always, just not attractive in my opinion. Even in bedrooms, I'm not a fan of it. I like true white light in most cases. Well, actually, no, everyone has their own definition of what true white is. A lot of manufacturers, a lot of these manufacturers will say true white is like blue, and that's not the case at all. It's not blue. But I think true white, like true brightness or daylight, should have should just promote, it should enhance the natural colors within a room and on yourself and etc. So I like whatever is at. Nothing with a hue. I want no hue. I want this reddish orange shirt to be it's red in real life, but we've got this warm light changing the color of it, right? but I want this shirt to be enhanced. I want the colors of the room, the objects, the furnishings that I put in, I want it to be enhanced. So I'm a big fan of natural light everywhere, even in bathrooms. I know people go blue light in bathrooms, some of that, because it's a little more surgical. You know, the bathroom is someplace that like you need like the most bright, stark light that you can, because you need to be able to see, and you need to be able to, you know, see your eyes and makeup and all this other kind of stuff, shaving, you know. But I don't like that even in bathrooms. So I'm not a fan of blue light in bathrooms. I'm not a fan of blue light anywhere unless it's a hospital or a cafeteria. Just give me my, you know, give me my nice. Oh goodness, I have to do all that. I need a ladder for all that. Anyway, I just saw somewhere I need to do. Give me my nice light. Give me a nice true light, true white light. I want to enhance the colors of the room. I want to really show, you know, what the room is all about. Let's see here. 246. So after lighting, I think all right, so we talked about like a feature, we talked about lighting. I think after features and lighting, you'd be amazed at how much attention to detail is important. And when I say attention to detail, I mean, you know, get the scuffs out of the wall, right? Get rid of all the scuffs. Fix all the pinholes. The cleaner, you could have a super old house, you could have a super old product. If you present this old product as close to new as possible, people will like it and they'll want to rent it and they'll want to. Renters all the time, they look for, you know, as new as possible. So, you know, you can't de-age a house. You can't go back in time and change the age of the house, but you can sure as heck try to make it as new as possible through other means, right? And that's, I mean, it's something as simple as fresh coats of paint, right? Which is what we're doing now. But then we also come in and we put like, you know, nicer light fixtures. We put nicer, newer light fixtures. We put newer sink fixtures, newer appliances, all that kind of stuff. Like things like that people look for. What's wrong with this? Huh. Interesting. I have to fix that. Not looking forward to it, but I'm gonna have to fix it. Anyway. A little nose drip here. All right, while we're doing this, anybody got any questions? Anybody got any, while we get through this, while we make it happen? I want to see what's the best place to put this camera. I think right here is good, right? I think right here is good. We got 4 of you watching. Hello, everybody. I'm pretty sure you're all kind of new. If you are new, please like and subscribe. Like this thing, subscribe to my channel. I greatly appreciate it. You know, the other day I was having a discussion, and I was talking about why I find most multi-million-dollar homes uninspiring. Like I've never walked, not never. There's only been a couple homes, multi-million-dollar homes that I've walked into and have been just blown away by. Something I've learned in this job years ago, because I've been in this for a long time, but I've always looked at I always thought when I would walk into a $1 million house that I would just be blown away, right? You see the TV shows, $1 million listing, and all these other kind of things. Most $1 million homes, depending on where you live, but I can say where I'm in Florida, and even in my city, Tampa, most $1 million homes are not impressive. They're not. They're just big. They're just bigger. They're big for big sake. They're not, you know, they don't come with cool features. You know, people value, a lot of people, and I think people in certain circles, they value stuff like, oh, it's this kind of marble. No one gives a flying crap about what kind of marble you have. They don't care. They don't care. It all looks the same. Like if you look at marble versus granite versus quartz, it all looks the same. Like basically, it kind of all looks the same. There are differences, yes. I'm not trying to, act like, oh yeah, but most people come in like, oh, what is this? What is this? What is this stone? Do you care? Do you care? Does it make you sleep better at night? Does it make you, does it make your house richer? Does it make it? No, it doesn't. It really doesn't. Like I don't believe there's value in it. I have never seen there be value in it. What I have seen value in is execution of things like, a good floor plan. How big is the master? Does the master have, appropriate kind of walking and storage space? Does it have like a little nook area? Like that's the kind of things that I see bring value in the home buying process. That's the things I've seen people, really, write home about to their friends, family, parents, whatever is, hey, what do you like about this house? Oh, the bathroom is a certain size. Today I had a showing earlier today, and their two complaints were like the house looked great, but the stairs were too steep, and the the bathroom was too small. Stairs too steep, bathroom too small. So they didn't like the house. They didn't want to buy a house, and that's fine. There's nothing wrong with that. You're allowed to not want to buy a house for those reasons, but that's what I'm talking about. Is people put so much emphasis on the most ridiculous things, in my opinion. That they lose sight of like what the stuff that's really, really important, like the stuff that really makes stuff that's like really the difference maker. People want, bigger is more in America. There's no doubt about it. So, they want square footage. That's number one. They want as much square footage for their dollar as they can get, which I am a huge supporter of. I would rather buy a house in more poor condition that has a lot of square footage instead of buying a small house in pristine condition that has less, smaller house in pristine condition. I would much rather buy the bigger house in worse shape because I can, I do this. I do this stuff. I can fix things, and I can pay people to fix things, and I can make a big house what I need it to be. And on top of that, it's not just about. Like, I don't want you guys to get confused and be like, oh, he just wants a big house. No, I don't. It's not just I want a big house to have a big house. Like I'm the type of person, like, I want my family to come and visit, and I want them to be comfortable, and I want them to, I want to make, that is important to me. That's not important to everyone else. That's important to me, right? It's important for me to have a space to, host and or have my family stay. Or even friends. Like, what if you got a friend that's in hard times with it? Like, if someone wants to come and, they need to stay, yeah, cool, come stay. Just don't affect my life. And the best way to do that is more square footage. But yeah, it's just so weird to me. I've been in tons of multi-million dollar homes. I've been in so many multi-million dollar homes, and each time, I almost feel like the quality of construction is less than what you get in things that are cheaper, significantly cheaper. You walk into a bedroom, and I get it, like you have this big expansive 20-foot by 20-foot bedroom. That's cool and all, but then like the floor bounces. I hate floors bouncing. Why are the floors bouncing? This is a multi-million dollar home. The floor shouldn't be bouncing, right? That's my opinion. Oh, sorry, I had to make sure I wasn't tracking paint because I'm painting. I don't have my plastic tarp or anything, which is always a bad idea. Something bad will happen anytime that you start getting lazy and you start taking shortcuts. Something bad always happens. So, sometimes you gotta live on the wild side. But anyway, going back to like this $1 million house discussion. I've walked so many of them. Like, all right, a lot of them, and maybe this is just in Tampa, but like a lot of them have like elevators. All right, cool. Do you know how much maintenance an elevator costs? I mean, it's astronomical. And residential elevators always break down. Always. I have a buddy who has an elevator in his house, and he has that thing break down. I think he just stopped using it because it broke down so much. It broke down 2 or 3 times a year. And it's nuts, right? It's convenient, but it's convenient when it works, but when it doesn't work, it is a giant pain in the ass. Huge pain in the ass. Lindsay, we got some comments here. I'm back. You're gonna go great. Here we go. Thanks for the talk to the. All right, cool. We got someone left, but we got 2 people. Hey, name's Eddie Grimes. I'm a real estate agent in Tampa, Florida. I am funny at times, and also I'm really good at my job. And I'm just sitting here talking about stuff. So please do me a huge favor. Just subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. I'd greatly appreciate it. You're awesome if you do. Tell me where you're from. Tell me who you are. Say hello in the chat, and ask questions. I know I'm just sitting here rambling, but ask questions. I'm more than happy to share. I'm willing to share my thoughts about anything. If you got questions about literally anything, you ask me what I think. What are my thoughts on the sun? I'll tell you. I don't care. Oh shoot, I just dropped some paint. That's a big mistake. Ooh, someone just started parking. Anyway, they've always just been a disappointment. Every time I walk into $1 million house, I've always just been like, this is it. This is it. It's just big. It's just big. And I will tell you that location plays significantly more in price than size. A lot of times why things are $1 million houses, $1 million, like homes are $1 million or more, it has more to do with location than it will ever have to do about price or more have to do about size or like features and things like that. People pay for location more than they pay for anything else, which, I don't know necessarily, what I do or don't feel about that. I don't think it's necessarily good and or bad. It's just something that, I guess you have to think about. It's funny. I've got a laundry room here with a messed up floor, and it's a gross floor. Well, it's not gross. It's just old. It's old linoleum, which is a material they use for like wet areas back in the day. Because the type of flooring that you put in different areas of the home is important, right? You don't want to put any wood or carpet in wet areas, kitchens, bathrooms, that kind of stuff, garages, because it gets wet. And when things get wet, like when wood gets wet, it gets swollen, it breaks. When carpets get wet, they get moldy, they get soggy, they get gross. So back in the day, like, I'd say mid 80s to early 2000s, they would put down this like linoleum flooring. It came in rolls. They would roll it out, lay it down. They put an adhesive under it, stamp it down. They had a heat gun, or they had a weight. They had a roller, and they would roll the linoleum down. So there's linoleum in that floor, in the laundry room. But the problem is that like to pull it up, and if the adhesive has not debonded itself over years, over age, because like adhesives always debond themselves over time. If it hasn't debonded itself, then you're kind of up a creek, because you're going to have to figure out how to pull it apart or pull it out without damaging anything. Which typically like is a heat gun. You use a heat gun or a steam gun. Typically it's a heat gun to debond stuff. More of the story is, in another unit that had a flooring issue, used peel and stick. So peel and stick is basically these giant stickers like what you had as a child. You had a sticker in school, and you peel it and you stick it. It's literally what's in the name. Well, I had a box, and I left it at a property, and I left it at the property because, and I am very much wishing I had it because it would really work in this laundry room that's messed up. Anyway, but getting back to some stuff here. Yeah, I'm just, I will say, like on a side note, multi-million-dollar condos, I've almost always been impressed by. If you've ever been inside of a condo that's multi-million dollars, that will almost always impress you. Oh, great, that's broken. This place is a mess. Anyway, yeah, multi-million-dollar condos have always impressed me, and I think the reason for that is the view. The view has all. You walk up into a multi-million-dollar condo, and you step up onto like the 20th floor, the 30th floor, the 40th floor, and you just look over everything. And I don't care if you have a water view, I don't care if you have a city view, I don't care if it looks into the forest. Being able to see off into the distance is such a peaceful thing. I think it's, and that's really where the value comes there in those properties, is just the fact that it's got an incredible, breathtaking view, which, that's always nice. Goodness gracious. This stuff is just so old, it's not spreading like the paint that's painting on top of. Now, how I could have fixed that is I could have primed it with some Kills. It's designed to stick to stuff like this, and it's designed to, make the painting job easier. But now we're talking about, instead of me coming through with 2 coats of paint, now we're talking about doing 4 coats, and that's where it gets kind of just excessive. Because I am on a little bit of a time crunch. This property has been vacant for a long time, and I need to get it rented because it's expensive. These properties are expensive, no doubt about it. I'm really curious if I'm gonna have to buy another 5-gallon jug, which I'll be telling you. All right, let's see. Is anybody here? Anybody? We got 2 people watching still. Say something. Say what's up. I appreciate you being here. I really do. I appreciate you watching. Feel free to, send me a signal. Say something. I like talking to people. It's it can be lonely sitting here and just painting a room and a hallway and everything else under the sun. Hoping that this doesn't take me forever. I want to be done with this. I want to be done with this back in Vietnam. Okay, painted. Let's hit the top of this. Let's get this top. The more you can roll, the better. The more your life is easy. Oh, I need to get food. I can already feel it. I hate when you have been working and then you start to get lightheaded, or you stand up real quick and the world kind of shifts on you a little bit. Signs that I need to get food in me. But I'll have to wait because I need to get this work done first. Okay. That top is done. What else can I do? Can I do that top? Sure. Let's go over here and do this top. Watch me paint this. Watch me whip and watch me nay this paint on this wall. as close to the top of the door as possible. Then we're going to get as close to the ceiling as possible. They have, tools to do trim, like to do the cutting. They've got like sponges on rollers and that kind of stuff. And I actually own a bunch of it, but I've never used it because I don't know. I feel like I don't know how useful and or practical it actually is. And I also don't know just kind of how quality it is. So, I just kind of stick to the way of rolling. When it comes to paint, I do believe to a degree that slow is quick and quick is fast, meaning don't rush it. I think when you rush it, you make mistakes, and the more mistakes you make, the longer you have to spend, cleaning up after yourself. I think it's a lot easier if you just take your time, make sure that each area you go over, it gets solid coverage, and, just take it easy. Not everything is a race. What else do we need to do? I wonder if the two people that are watching are ghosts. YouTube ghosts. They are here, but in spirit. That's all right. I appreciate everyone. Appreciate everybody. Oh, goodness gracious. There we go. Okay. Get down here. Let's get the paint going. Everywhere is dusty. Everywhere is dusty. I can tell you, one of my biggest pet peeves of all time, two door jambs at a 90-degree angle, because nothing fits in here. This is the most painful, aggravating, annoying place to have to paint. You have to do it with a brush. You have to be careful because like at this angle, trying to get like this piece of wall, you end up marking up this door jamb. When this is a little bit easier because there's more gap, but this is going to be prohibited. Like, I mean, if I were to take my hand and put it in straight, I'm gonna paint all of this edge, which means I have to come back and clean it up. So that's super annoying. So if you ever, any of you guys who are watching, if you guys ever become house builders, don't do this. This is the most aggravating, annoying, sociopath thing to do. Like how much would it have hurt to like, I don't know, move this to, I don't know. There's definitely a better way to do this. I hate it. I hate everything about this. All right, I'm looking at a bunch of white. I see white everywhere. Oh, this door jamb. We get this. Let me get that a little bit more. I'll get those two. Why not? We're here. I think we can get up in this. I think we can, and it'll come down. There we go. The more you paint with the roller, the better. These are less brush strokes that you have to do. The more you can paint with the roller, the absolute better. You get as close as you can. This is where it gets like, where I say slow is better. Because if I go slowly, I can get super close to the door jamb without actually hitting it. A little bit of force, a little bit of push. You can see I applied some pressure. So we got like, that wasn't hitting the wall. This was, that's why this area is lower, this area is not. Okay. Let's get a little more paint on here. Let's see here, did we finish this? Did we do it? Did we do it? Let's try it out a little bit more. Let's bring this all the way down. Up and down, up and down, up and down. So, if anybody's watching and knows anyone looking for a 3-bedroom condo on Harbor Island in Tampa, Florida, hit me up, because this place is gonna look good soon, and this is gonna be available for rent. And it's really, I think, I think it's affordably priced, or it will be affordably priced. So yeah, let me know. Okay, where else? Up here. Keep doing this until it's done. Oh, I hit the door. Sassafras, I hit the door. Not good. Yeah, we're gonna peel and stick this bit laundry room. All right, do we have anybody watching? Got one person watching. I don't know who you are. Thanks for sticking out. Thanks for hanging out. I really do appreciate you. Thanks for being a long lifetime friend. You know, where do we go next? Do we go in this room? Do we go in this room, or do we go in that room? Let's hit this room. Let's go. What time is it? 2:52? I think we're doing all right. I think we're doing all right. You're gonna come with me, and we're gonna go in this room. I need to replace. There's so much I need to fix. I need to fix. There's a lot of things that need to be fixed. Lots of things. All right, let's get the angle right here. Can you zoom in on this? Let's see. Can you zoom in or no? Oh, we can. Look at that. I didn't know you could zoom in. Oh, how about that? Look at that. All right, let's see where we need to point you. Bend this down just a little bit. There you go, a little more level. Tighten that back up. And I think it's good. Actually, let's point you over here. Let's put you right here. Let's put you right here so I can talk to you. There you go, how's that? We got what, 53% battery? Fantastic. Let's bring the paint in here. All right. There you go. I am hungry. I look forward to eating whatever it is I'm going to eat later. Look at this. It's gliding on this wall. I think this color is different than here. This is more like an orange, I think. I don't know. Could be wrong. Probably the same, just different light. I went with I was trying to decide between white and gray. I went with an off-white, but it's a super, 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 almost white off-white. It was very, very close to just white. I was hoping there'd be a little more color in it. The reason I went with this is that the last time I picked a color, and this is something that I've discovered when it comes to most when you're picking paint for somewhere, more times than not, the color on the swatch, like the little piece of paper that you bring from the paint store or the Home Depot or wherever else, the color on that swatch is going to be always lighter than the paint that ends up on the wall, always. I don't know why that is. I wish that, they found a way to make the swatches more accurate to the color that's on the wall. So when I was picking this, I went super duper 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 light, because I wanted it to be, I wanted it to be light colored. I didn't want it to be dark. And I am 71% kind of regretting my decision, because it is pretty darn white. And I was hoping that there'd be a hint of color in it. But, at the end of the day, as long as this place is brighter, that's all I care about. It just needs to be brighter, because it's way too dark. Way too dark, and I and brightness. 'Cause I need people who want to rent this place. Alright, across. So your light switches and stuff, right? Down here, you can't see it in the camera. I got nobody watching. Cool. Well, anyway, the light switches down here. Usually you want to pull those off. Let's see here. Yeah, usually you want to pull them off, but I didn't because they're all going to go anyways. So once I get kind of started on that, then I'll start pulling them all off. Because if they're off, then you can just kind of roll through them without too much of an issue. Like roll through the holes. But I'm gonna wait until I get those outlets in, which I ordered off Amazon. Look at that. Let's see if we can tell the difference. Can we tell the difference? Ta-da! Look at that. That's a weird color. No wonder, man. It's a weird color. No wonder nobody wanted this darn place. Let's do this. Bring it this way. There we go. Yeah, roll right on. Now you should be, like, I should have some a wrap underneath me. But the problem is, or not the problem, but, because you do get specks, like you do get specks of paint that fly off. If you look at it, like if you see my gloves, gloves are covered in little white specks. So that ends up on the floor. Typically, if they're big ones, you can just get like a plastic scraper, and they come out, you let them dry, and then afterwards you can go back and get a plastic scraper and just pop, they literally pop off. The only time that you really need to kind of like pay attention and cover your floors is if you have carpet. Because that's a mess. That's something that doesn't get repaired. Okay. There we go. Boom, boom, boom. Let's keep going. I got one person watching. What's up, one person? Oh, that sucks. Damn it. I just did exactly what I didn't want to do. So we got a little bit of paint on the floor. Saturday, painting doors, painting walls. You know, when you do rollers, you gotta, I don't know what everyone else's opinion on this is. Let me clean this up real quick. I'll be right back. Hang out for a minute. So if you do decide to, like, you drop some paint and you do decide to clean up, do some of these little paint wet wipes. There's wet wipes that I got on Home Depot. These are called like Gorilla or Gator or Crocodile or something, I don't know. But they're little wet wipes and they're great. They work on like hard surfaces fantastically. I would not recommend, actually they work on cloth too. Like I know I had a pair of suede shoes that I dropped paint on, cleaned the paint out of. So they actually work pretty well. But these things are fantastic. They're also great for like general cleanups. Like you say, you spill something somewhere. they do work well on that, but these are very good. Would recommend these little Gator wipes, whatever they are. They're called crocodile wipes. Kind of a weird marketing name, but so be it. We're gonna have to fill up on paint here in a minute. Another thing, a little tip, just from like a safety and OSHA and everything else standpoint, not literally, but a mistake I think everyone makes is they try to move the pan that the roller goes in, the paint pan, they try to move it when it's full of paint. I think that's the worst mistake you make. Empty your paint pan. If that even means that you have to like roll on a fourth coat or something like that, do that. Before you try to remove your paint can, get it as empty as possible. Because so often people are like, oh, and they spill it and they drop it, and it's like, you know, the worst thing ever. I say empty your paint pan as much as possible. Yes, I am still on. I'm still on because I'm trying to make some money. Make some money. Money, 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 money. I might have already painted over the outline here. Done. This is definitely newer paint than the paint out in like the living room area, because this is rolling on magnificently. I mean, this literally comes on. I mean, this is a dry brush. This is a dry roller. You can see it's still painting a good coat. Yeah, this is fantastic. Whatever this paint is definitely newer. Painting on new paint, the best thing in the world. Get ready, was just checking. That's 3 o'clock. Yeah, I want to be on here. I was hoping to get get at least one coat throughout the whole place before I left, but I mean, that would probably take a considerable amount of time, so I'm probably not going to do that before I leave. I will leave here soon. In case anybody's wondering, I'm talking to my girlfriend because she's here. Whoever the second person is, that's not my girlfriend. And whoever that second person is just left because they realize I'm talking to you. But no, I do want to leave here. Because I can always come back tomorrow and, you know, hit this again, but yeah. I mean, I don't blame them. They're like, oh, these two people are using YouTube Live to FaceTime each other. Like, anywho, I may switch to TikTok just because this has been, I don't know how, you know, get 1-2 people in at a time. But I'm tired. I don't know how many people I have. Do you know how many people No, only you think that. Only you think that. You are the only person who thinks that way. They're like, oh, a couple is speaking to one another. I'm gonna leave. Nut job. All right. Trying to get what the best course of action is. Interesting. All right, let's get back to work. Let's just make decisions here. cut the perfect length. So plastic. There we go. All right, pan over here. Boom. Let's get the bucket. Should have brought my boom box. Could have had it planned. Because I think people like it when people who are on live have music playing in the background. Well, beautiful. Okay, we were letting a big giant wall. Click. How long have I stayed? Alright, boom. Am I in the frame? Okay. Spread, application, and then spread. If you guys, listen, is anybody here watching? One person watching. If you do this and you're rolling, make sure to roll, don't just roll up and down, roll multiple directions. It should be like, boom, boom, up, down, boom, boom, move over a little bit, up, down, boom, boom. Because paint needs to get into all the crevices, the cracks and the crevices. Best way to do that is to hit it from multiple directions. Instead of rolling over at the same spot over and over again, hit it in multiple directions in like a pattern. So like you come this way, up, down, move over a little bit, this way, that way, up, down. And that'll save you some time. Anywho, I'm gonna go to TikTok. So if anybody wants to join me on TikTok, feel free. I wanna see, I have 2 fans. Cool. Yeah, join me on TikTok. See you later. How long